they were more into what I did. I did this, I did that, this successful project, that major project, but it was not coming out to be me as a person. So when I started working with my consultant, I think the personal element is when I mentioned earlier. That's what she highlighted, that my essays are coming out to be very professional, and she's not able to understand how I am as a person. And I think nowhere during my essay writing or my application strategy did she tell me what to write, but more for me to introspect. She really helped me to introspect on all those points, and that session helped me to understand and have some clarity within my mind to what my short-term goal is, what my long-term goal is, and where do I currently stand, and what's the gap between, what's the journey I'm going to take from my current situation, as in my current role, to the short-term goal, and then to the long-term goal. And my fourth one was with the ISB alum, the senior consultant that I was earlier working with, since she was also from a marketing background.
Yeah.
So questions also, the questions she asked were kind of way, did prepare me for my actual one, because the answers, the questions that were asked in my actual interview was also similar to what was already covered.
Very good. Chandni, congratulations again for making it to this prestigious program. I know how hard you have worked, how much you had to, the quality time which you have put in the whole preparation, and finally getting an offer is indeed a great achievement. So let's start by understanding your academic and professional profile, Chandni, to start with.
Yeah, okay. So academically, like I've done my graduation, I've completed BCom honors, post which I also did an integrated MBA, which was part of the same program, like BCom honors plus 1 year of integrated MBA. So I completed that in 5 years. I did that from a university in Agra. So post that, I joined Nielsen, a market research firm. And there I got to work very closely with the FMCG brands and marketing teams. And I was helping the major brands like, Nestle brands, Dabur brands, to help them understand brand performance as well as the competitive landscape in the retail stores. And then within Nielsen, I made a switch to an innovation specific research team where I was, again, the domain remained the same, that I was working with the FMCG brands, but I was helping them to understand the launch potential of the new ideas, new concepts, etc. And after 4.5 years of my stint at Nielsen, I moved to Unilever, like the biggest FMCG, and that was my goal company at that time. From a market research, then I transitioned to a product management role. And there I was working on innovation as a domain, but my role in terms of what I was doing completely changed to a little more technical work. And then, so in total have 6 years of experience as of today.
Great. So 5-year integrated program, specializing with marketing. I also remember that you were planning to move your career to consulting. So how would you navigate this transition to consulting?
Yeah. So my 5-year integrated program, I did study a little bit of marketing. And I then joined a market research firm, which is also a part of marketing. So I think my whole experience has been so close with the brand teams and the marketing teams. So my short-term goal is to navigate the brand management role. So that's what I plan to do next. And within the FMCG domain, so that I use my previous experience as well. Post which, as my long-term goal, I want to transition into a consulting work, because that way I would use my strategy experience till now, and also navigate other parts of business as well apart from marketing.
Right. I think your job has provided you that key communication, analytical strategy skills, which will further help you enhance, your understanding through the program, and that will help you transition it. Great.
Right.
And did you consider any other program before applying to ISB?
when I was preparing for my GMAT, I did, have a few other programs like I wanted to go for the US universities as well. But I think during my preparation, I got some clarity in terms of what I really want to do. So since my long-term plan was to settle within India, so I did not apply to an university outside India. And within India, I think ISB is the best place to be in.
Indeed.
So
Absolutely.
ISB, and I am Ahmedabad PGPX. Also, I applied. I got shortlisted, but due to some personal reasons, I did not sit for the interview. So
Okay.
ISB was the only program I was, focusing on.
Okay. Very good. Great. With a master's in management and having worked as research executive and associate product manager in FMCG industry, what were your application strategy and primary focus area when you started preparing your application?
Yeah. So I think the major focus when I started preparing, like my initial, how my essays were coming out to be, they were more into what I did. I did this, I did that, this successful project, that major project, but it was not coming out to be me as a person. So having that, adding that personal element to my application also makes the other person, either the person like the adcom or the person who is reading my application, should know how I am as a person. So having that personal story was something I earlier, started focusing on. And also to add the element of, also adding the impactful projects. So my focus was also to let the other person know that what kind of impact my work had on the company or on within my team. So that element also I really focused on while I was writing my applications.
Okay, great. And that's when you got in touch with us and you took some
Yeah,
professional help from us.
yeah,
So the
yeah,
consultant who is also a senior alum with whom you were interacting, what kind
right.
of inputs did you receive from us, and how were these inputs helpful to you?
Yeah. So I took both the services from ISB Mantra. I started with my essay writing and application, and then later on, I took the interview strategy session as well. So when I started working with my consultant, I think the personal element is when I mentioned earlier. That's what she highlighted, that my essays are coming out to be very professional, and she's not able to understand how I am as a person. And also when I had a few strengths and weaknesses and failures and all those points written, but the structure of those points was missing. And I think nowhere during my essay writing or my application strategy did she tell me what to write, but more for me to introspect. She really
Right.
help me to introspect on all those points so that I can write that in a way that my story comes out well, and my personal story comes out on those essays. So
Yeah.
I think that was my whole learning through the application strategy process. And even during my interview preparation, that has been the focus in terms of I come out as authentic as possible. It shouldn't be that I'm there are a lot of interview templates, question and answer templates you can refer to, but it should be your own thing.
Indeed. Very important point you made, Chandani, that the consultant with whom you were working, the consultant did not write your essay. So we
Yeah,
make sure that we don't do that thing. We only brainstorm with the applicant and help them to think in certain areas which they had earlier not thought of.
right.
And when that kind of a nudge comes from a senior professional, you obviously start thinking in those directions and come out with some really valid points. And with that, you
Yeah,
make your application stronger. Great.
yeah.
And
I
how
think
much
to that
time? Yeah.
point,
Sorry,
yeah,
go
to
ahead.
that point, I think my first session was with you only. And after that first session, I took, I think, almost 4 to 5 days to respond back whether
Right,
I'm ready for my next session or not. Because I was really introspecting on a lot of my life events, which I was not earlier doing.
right.
So that also helped a lot.
Great, great. And how much time did you get to prepare for your ISB actual interview?
So I got 4 days in between. So I got my interview email on 1st of January, and my interview was on 6th. So in between, there were only 4 days.
Right, right. And in these 4 days, you signed up with us for the interview services, and
Yeah,
you did interact with quite a few of us, our team
yeah,
members. So how
yeah,
this all interaction, how did it help you to prepare for your D-Day?
yeah. So my first interview was with you, and I think the whole purpose of that first conversation for me to come as unprepared and to understand where I currently stand, so that I can prepare accordingly. My direction of my preparation could be according to that. So all my questions and even my thoughts I felt were quite unstructured. So thinking of that structure was the first. That's where the first interview helped me. Then the second was a goal strategy session with Mr. Naveen. And that session helped me to understand and, have some clarity within my mind to what my short term goal is, what my long term goal is, and where do I currently stand, and what's the gap between, what's the journey I'm going to take from my current situation, as in my current role, to the short term goal, and then to the long term goal. So bridging that gap was something that came out of my second session, the career goal session. My third session was the counseling session to, to for me to validate what all questions I prepared based on my previous feedback, and take some feedback from my third session, whether I'm on the right track, what all needed to be improved. So that was my third session. And my fourth one was with the ISB Alam, the senior consultant that I was earlier working with, since she was also from a marketing background.
Yeah.
So questions also, the questions she asked were kind of way, did prepare me for my actual ones, because the answers, the questions that were asked in my actual interview was also similar to what was already
Oh,
covered.
very good. To
Yeah.
continue this discussion further, what specific areas, from where the questions came during your actual interview?
Yeah. So I think the one thing that I got my feedback on during my last two mock interviews was to prepare my, like, the initial pitch, as in tell me about yourself question, and that's when you can leave your fish hooks, and from where the interviewer can start asking questions. So my actual interview, it started from that only, that I mentioned all about my professional experience and nothing much about my academic. So that was my first question in terms of what did you do in your studies. So that's when I mentioned about my integrated MBA, and the discussion started with why second MBA then. So that's what my first question was. And then later, they did ask me a lot about my current Unilever experience and the current project that I was working on. And it was very specific to the kind of, the final output. So I was building a technical product, but they were more keen to understand how the users are going to use, and what's the benefit, the actual benefit the user is going to get. And the discussion then moved on to my goals and why as ISB. Like, very, I think I was prepared for a lot of the questions that I got asked in the actual one. And there was one more, since I come from an FMCG background. They asked me about my favorite brand, which is non Unilever, and which might be, very small. And
Okay.
how do I think that brand is going to grow, as in the growth trajectory? What are they doing good? What do they need to improve? So that was kind of my whole experience.
Okay. And how long was the interview? 20 minutes, 30 minutes?
30 minutes. It
30
lasted for
minutes.
exactly 30 minutes. Yeah.
Exactly 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Great. Excellent. Chandani, before we wrap this up, what your advice to prospective applicants, who come with similar background?
Yeah, I think start with really understanding why, because even I felt and faced this issue when I started preparing. My what reason was coming out very clearly, that this is what I want to do. I want to get into a brand marketing role. I want to get into a consulting role. but why do I want to do all of those things was something very missing. So when you start preparing, I think before you even start your application, when you're deciding your schools, so really understand why do you want to do that, whether there's a need, or it shouldn't be just for the, I talk to a lot of people, and the reason for their MBA comes out to be placement. So I think placement or getting to a specific job I feel that that shouldn't be a reason. Although we are spending such a heavy amount, 40 lakhs, 45 lakhs. So maybe that could be the goal, but it shouldn't be the ultimate goal. And the other point is, I think needs to be, to be authentic about your own story. It shouldn't come out as, somebody else's story. So come out, the answers could be a little bit vulnerable as well, so that the interviewer gets to know you, and even the whoever is reading your application should know you as a person. So authenticity and really clarity about your goals is something which would help you.
Thank you so much, Chandani, for doing this session with us. As informed you before, we usually do these recordings to get a experience of your journey from deciding to apply to your achievement, which happens after your interview. So this will go a long way, especially people coming from relevant experiences. Okay. Thank you very much, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.